How are you feeling, my beautiful warriors? I literally been back and forth on this let's talk. Do I feel like saying, do I feel like talking? Do I not? It's been a week like this for me. I have fallen into not a rut, but in a boredom cycle where every day I wake up and I'm like bored of life and this human experience. And I've been diving deep into that. Not too deep, the way I don't like to dive too deep into things, but I have been, and it's somewhat it's fascinating in the same way that it's annoying. Right? I've been getting a lot of messages from all of you. So many energies coming up. Very excited, very exhausted, very depressed. Very fearful, anxious. A lot, right? On all the scales, and it's normal. Right, we are, if I could just go into the planetary transit, Pluto just entered direct into Capricorn. For those of you who are not so familiar with astrology, Pluto is our uncomfortable planet. It's the planet of collapse, destruction, and rebirth. And Capricorn is our father in the it's our father energy. It's the limitations, it's career, job, resources. Pluto moving direct into Capricorn for its last stint in 248 more years. It's going to until November 19. This is the moment where things are coming up. Your old stuck energies, especially trauma with your fathers, grandfathers, the divine masculines in your life, that is coming up in a big way. But also your limited belief systems, your ideologies, a lot of your old ways of being in relationships with your family, with your friends, with your partners, old ways of working. Old ways of coming up with ideas, collaborating. It's coming up to the surface, and it's not comfortable in your vessel, right? Your frequency level is it's not allowing this energy to remain, and you're going to start to feel it in the focal points of your life. You're going to see it in the foundational, which is the job, which is the relationships, which is the money and finance and resources, which is your personal lifestyle, which is you. And you're going, and it's going to be, it cannot be comfortable, right? Or else you would just bypass it. So a few nights ago, or I don't remember anymore. I'm always woken up early in the morning, like 5. And I have a message that comes in. And I want to read a little bit this message to you, because I just recorded it as I was saying, and I even re-listened to my recording, and it's like another voice was speaking. But I guess maybe it was. This whole human experience is about exposing our true nature and not focusing on one polarity or the other, to be able to fully dissolve them. It's about fully living within one polarity to be able to face it, hate it, feel it, love it, and then release it all. Every step of the way, you have to come up against the mirror, and it's uncomfortable. But we face it down, and we fight it as the human that we are, instead of getting to the point of accepting it. This either or isn't working. You can't love until you hate. You can't fear until you feel you can't know courage until you fear. Right? You don't know what real love is until you've experienced the full polarity of the other one. So the message goes on. Stop pretending to be love and light, because you are also hate and dark in this human experience. We're here to go back to love in the soul experience. But as long as we're human, why not fully love the shadow and the darkness so that you can move through it with ease? We have been programmed to resist it and fear it and remedy it with food, alcohol, I was going to say poison, alcohol, drugs, pills, etc. Instead of loving it and hugging it, because that's the key to dissolving it. So like it goes on and on, but then this is like my little fix on it too. It's like, for me, we're so focused on the polarity of love and joy and freedom and happiness and all of that, and we rejecting the polarity of boredom, which is what I was experiencing this week, of anger and anxiety, of fear, of hate, of anti this, and we reject it. Oh no, we can't. No, that's awful. So I'm gonna go and I'm going to dissolve it in another way, by taking something, by forgetting it, but instead of loving it, right? And I talk a lot about this in all my videos, but so I'm gonna express to you how like the boredom came up for me. It was unnerving, because it was like, I'm bored of this experience. I'm bored of it. I'm done. I'm working hard to dissolve everything, and it's just like a continuous loop, a never-ending loop that comes in and out, and I'm like I've put so much work in, I feel like for lifetimes, over and over, and I'm bored. So I did a little exercise with myself. I sat with my boredom, and I said, what is the polarity of boredom? And boredom, excitement, enthusiasm, that's what it is. So why am I resisting excitement? So then I went a little bit further. I said, well, because it makes me feel empty. That's just me, right? So what's the polarity of emptiness? Is fullness, meaningfulness, I guess, and worth. Okay. What's the polarity of unworthiness? I literally, why am I feeling, why do I feel like my life is unworthy? And unworthiness is godliness. And I was like, wow. Sabrina, at this moment in time, or last week in time, I wasn't feeling like I was fully living my true potential. And I'm not owning up to my true essence, my godliness. So that's an exercise that you can use for yourself, because I feel like it's important to pass this on, because in all our polarities, the good, the bad, it all comes down to just neutrality and accepting. So I was able to snap out of my boredom, not 100,000%, let me tell you, because I'm like, oh, I'm godly, okay. That's the way it works, not for me anyways. This is an ongoing process. So I woke up again today and I was a little bit annoyed and bored, and I go through the whole process again, and it helps me, because my ego is still intact. It helps me work through this at a lower mind level, right? Because we're still all cancel clear, deleting our programs. Now our programs will keep us in this feeling, and this week I could tell you that I could have been depressed, and I could have gone into deep darkness, and I could have gone there, but I couldn't, because I'm very aware of when my ego moves in. So instead of rejecting my ego, let me work with it, which is part of me anyways, right? But let me work with it in the sense that let's try and dive into this and try to figure out why I'm doing this, but not go deep. I'm I was unworthy because I'm at 7 years old. I was, I'm not going to go there because I'm done with it. If that 7-year-old unworthiness or 17-year-old unworthiness has to show up, then it'll show up on its own. I feel like what's happened in this society that we live in is that we go in and digging for something that probably already cleared. Or maybe it didn't clear. But can we allow it to just come up in our field? Instead of going and looking for it and going to search for it and said, oh yeah, this is me. And I talked to a lovely human. I just met a lovely human a few days ago at my favorite cafe. And she was telling me, she was just broken up with her boyfriend. So I was talking to her about that. And then she was like, it's because I was abandoned as a child. Right? And I said, oh. And then I kind of triggered her, but she thanked me a few days after. I said, oh, you're playing a victim. I said, you're attaching to the fact that your father abandoned you, and that's why you're giving it an explanation to why it's not working out with your boyfriend. But maybe it's not working out with your boyfriend for something completely different. But I wasn't mean about it. Obviously, I was talking about it because I would talking about it the way I would like to get people talk to me. I think because it's important that we bring this up in a conversation instead of going, oh yeah, oh I'm so sorry for you. I'm sending you love and light, and it's no. Let's bring up this stuff. And then a few days later, she goes, oh my God, you totally. I sat with it, and it was uncomfortable. But yes, it's true. I've been attaching to that my whole life. Then I'm always making the excuse that I was abandoned from my father, so it's not working out. And I said, and you perpetuate it in your lifetime. Right? That's what we do. I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't do that either, right? I was my whole life. My mother died when I was 17 years old. At the time, I wasn't I never used her as an excuse until I did. Because everybody was like, oh, it's because you feel abandoned by your mother. I never felt abandoned by her. I felt obviously I was upset at God. I was upset at a lot of things, and I had to go through my things. But I never really felt that, and I forced myself to feel abandoned. Because that's what everybody was saying to me. That's what my psychologist told me. This is what you're feeling. So I almost programmed it into my system that I was abandoned by my mother. And see how easy it can happen? It's not working out with my husband right now, or my wife right now, or my friends right now because of something else. And what are you doing? You're creating the program. You're creating the code into your system. And then you repeat it over and over and over and over again. It becomes ingrained into your program. And it could be something that you don't even feel. That's the sad part about it. And it's something that I'm noticing more and more about myself. And I'm like, wow, did I really feel that? No. But this world is based on victimhood. It's oh, I'm so sorry, this person died. I'm so sorry that you're poor. I'm so sorry that you're this. I'm so sorry for you this. Instead of looking at the poverty and the loss as something beautiful, as a human experience. We need to change the mindsets here. You don't need to do anything, by the way. I'm talking about me right now, and you're listening. So, if you're triggered by what I'm saying, I get it. But also, if you're triggered by what I'm saying, it's good to sit with it. Because anyone around you who triggers you, anyone around you that makes you uncomfortable, it's the moment, it's your body is saying, sit with it, please. It doesn't mean that they're right, by the way. It just means that something has been hit inside that program of yours. And maybe it's something you've been covering up. Maybe it's something that you've been denying. Resentment, whatever it is, you'll know it. And this is the work that we're doing, everyone. This is the work that is ours and ours alone. And I'm here to help you like awaken it within you. But, you know, and there's other people around you doing the same thing. And it's just the beauty and the ugly, the polarity of this journey. And it's not for, okay, and that's why I want to talk about spiritual bypassing. It's a huge thing that's coming up a lot in the field. You know, I always talk about that, the love and the light, or like people that come to me and say, I'm fully anxious, I'm anxious, I'm anxious. And then you give them exercises to help them with their anxiety. But after 5 years, they're still anxious, right? And you're like, okay, because you're not doing the work, right? And a lot of people feel comfortable in it because the whole world around them has allowed for this to be okay. Oh, you're anxious, then you are mentally unstable and you're unhealthy. So we're going to have a mental health awareness day for you to like show, like to give you that platform instead of just like dealing with it and just accepting it and not seeing it as a bad thing. Not seeing it as a, like, oh my God, you need help and we need to walk on eggshells around you because you're anxious today. Instead of just saying, you know what, I'm anxious. It sucks. But maybe I gotta do some exercise and understand why I'm anxious. Maybe I'm anxious right now because, you know, 3 lifetimes ago I like killed somebody, or I was in a war and I died in the war, and that's why the wars are making me feel like this, and la da da. And to love it. And everybody's, how do you love war? You give it positive energy, people. You don't continuously feed it ugly energy, because it's all it's just the way, like this is like when I start when you start moving along in this journey, you start understanding, you start looking, you watch people's feeds and they post quotes, everything is energy, and then they're complaining about something, or they're like bitching, or they're anti something, and you're like, what does it make sense? If 3 weeks ago you said everything is energy, then you understand that everything is energy. So if there is a war happening in the world, it's because the humanity's energy is very low. And how do we change that? You move into a high frequency. And how do you do that? You love the war, you love the hate, you love all the isms, and you love yourself through it all. And you don't wish ill towards another religion or another people or another, because you're just being played. And that's the reality of life. Like, you are being played by the directors of other movies, and you're allowing to be played. And that's the like sucky part of it. And you're like, oh, you know, but how? You don't have to know how. You just have to like put yourself outside of the movie clip again and just say, what would I do differently here? Like, logically, it's all about love, right? So love thy neighbor. Remember that? Love everyone. It's not picking and choosing who you love. And ultimately it's loving yourself. Like, I talk about war, but I could talk about just relationships. You know, like us always trying to find the reasons and trying to explain our partners and trying to explain. It's like, focus on you first. Because the people around you will only match your frequency. If the relationship that you're in, the friendship that you're in, the family, if whatever it is, if your frequencies are not matching, it will be felt. And again, it's not a bad thing that someone is lower frequency than you or higher, and it's okay. And this is the shift. It's not like you're going to judge them and you're going to hate them because of it. No, you're going to send love to everyone. But you know what? It all begins with you. Because it's not like, it's the same way I say like spiritual bypassing. I haven't forgotten about that. It's the same way like in spiritual bypassing where you just do affirmations. When you go, I'm sending them love and light. I am beautiful. I am smart, and I am at peace, and I am this, and I am that. You're freaking lying to yourself if you're not feeling it. And your cells and your energy knows. They're just like, what are you doing? Don't lie to yourself. You can't lie about your energy to yourself, to your team, to your everything, right? It doesn't work. And I know that so many people, well, it makes me feel good. Yes, it does. It makes you feel good in 5 minutes in the week. And then after you fall again into something, and then you're going to start lying again to yourself, and you're like, and then it becomes this freaking loop that you've just created. Instead of just looking at how you're feeling right now and accepting the feeling right now that's coming up in your field. And not like switching it over to an I am and to whatever. Like, trust it. Trust it that it's coming up because it needs to clear. Trust it's coming up because you haven't really accepted it and loved it yet. And in you doing that work, you will align with people around you. And you won't align with people around you. And that's okay. We're attached to humans, and we're attached to feelings, and we're attached to emotions. We're attached to everything. And, and it's like when you start to detach, and it's not to be cold. Like I can catch myself. You see, I catch my ego catches me right now. It's not about being cold. I want to explain to you. It's not about that. I'm going to explain to you my ego. It's about like freaking loving yourself, man. Loving all of it. All polarities of you. The light and the dark. And when you're able to master these two, it won't be about love and it won't be about hate. It will just be about being. And you just being there will magnetize, it will amplify the frequency, will amplify everything. And we're not there yet. So let's be real about these things. Like, that's why I like people will reach out and I'm like, I went through this exercise already and it hasn't gone. And I'm like, yo, dudes, it's not gonna go away because you did an exercise 1 time or 5 times. I'm a prime example. I've been doing this for years now. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've been doing it for lifetimes, but in this lifetime of Sabrina, I've been doing it for years now. And it's still the old creeper still comes up. It still comes in. I'm like, oh my God, you're still here. Yeah, that little lingering ex-boyfriend thing is still there. It still shows up in my field. And I'm like, wow. I've fully forgiven him. I fully this, and it still comes up. But because there's something around that lesson or that situation that I still haven't forgiven myself for. So I need to face it and love it and hug it out and move on. And then if it comes back again, I'm just like more prepared and I'm less judgy about it. It's at the beginning you're a little judgy about your like issues that come up. You're like, oh, I can't believe this is coming up. I'm such a loser. I'm here again. And then after you're like, okay, whatever, man. It has to come up. It has to clear. I mean, this is the job that we're doing here on this earth. Hence the wars. It has to come up and clear within these countries, with these borders, with these people. It is what it is. Can we allow it to clear? Can we not judge it so much? Can we respect Mother Earth for what she needs to do to cleanse the earth? We don't, though, because we go into this pain and suffering and oh my God, it's like the end of the world and it's the apocalypse and this is it, and you just saying it out loud, you're feeding the energy, you're lowering the frequency of the earth. I know, I can't even imagine. Sometimes I just sit there and I speak to my higher self or I speak to Mother Earth, and when I go out in nature and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even imagine what they have to hear all day long from their avatars. Saying, oh, I'm not this, I can't do this, I'm this, and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh my God, you're beautiful beings of light. You can do anything you want. You can change this whole world. in a blink of an eye, but you don't even know your power yet. And here we have to sit and like, we have to push you through this. And when you get to a place like I am right now, I'm like, oh my God. And that's a little part of me is there too. When I hear the same like issue that comes out from the client, the same one after 5 years that I've been together, I'm like, wow, you haven't even learned. Like, you're not really listening. Because you're enjoying that, the lower frequency. You're enjoying it and you don't even know it. It could be a subconscious thing. Anyway, don't get me wrong, I have amazing clients that are like, most of them are like actually up leveling with me, and it's freaking beautiful to watch, you know, and they're aware, and I get the messages like, oh my God, I'm like depressed, but I see it, and I'm like, awesome. That is the work. It's not falling backwards into that comfort zone. It's not falling back. And even if you do fall backwards, I'm here to catch you, and everyone else is here to catch you, even if you don't see them either. This is the journey. Like I'm constantly falling backwards, coming back up again. It is what it is. And I'm not going to get upset on myself, and I'm not going to think I'm all this high and mighty. Like, I'm not. I'm exactly like you. I'm moving through this. You know, like spiritual bypassing is, I know this could trigger some of you too. 3D, 5D. You know, I don't really I used to talk like that maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but 5D, like for me, I'm in 5D. I'm in 12D. I'm in 100D. I don't know. Like, it's not a D. It's not a dimension. It's like maybe it is, but I don't. It's so. You're 3D and I'm 5D. Like, again, we're like putting someone on this side and putting someone on the other side. It's the same like a high frequency, low frequency. For me, you're moving into higher frequency, and it's like the blessing. And it's like, wow, you could feel it. You could feel like you're no longer working in the same fields, and you these things no longer interest you anymore. And it's like amazing, but it's not to say, oh, to them, right? And I'm not getting I've been there where I was like, oh. And the more I realized, it's like, this is a crazy ass life, let me tell you. But I wrote down some practices to again, like, look at me being all proactive here. Some practices for when you're moving through this, you know, like when you're trying to ignore something that is feeling bad and just you want to go to a better place, and that's it. You know, that's like, I don't want to deal with this 3D now, and I'm just going to go into my 5D, into my meditation, into my there's no bypassing. That's just like ignoring a problem that will come up over, and it will probably come like magnified. Because, again, you are surrounded by a team that is like, hello, we see you. Like, it's not going to happen. So, number one, practice self-compassion, right? By accepting yourself as you are, even if you're angry or bored. Right? That's number one. Loving yourself through the process. Even if you're feeling low, even if you're feeling like you can't take one step out of bed, even if can you just stay in bed? Right? Stop comparing yourself to others and how others live their life. You are no longer in this kind of frequency anymore, so you're not going to live the same life as them. Can you fully understand that? Like, as you move into frequency shifts, you realize that you can no longer work the 9 to 5. You can no longer you're no longer able to come up with ideas the way you used to. You're no longer able to have conversations like you used to, and it's okay. You know, don't berate yourself for that either. You have to enjoy your experience too. Don't always have to try and be like everybody else. We're not like everybody else. So just own that, please. Yes, right? Remind yourself that you're a freaking human. And life is messy. Remind yourself every day, even if you're like feeling the feels and you're moving up and you're feeling great and you're feeling or you're feeling shit and you're feeling, just recognize it that I'm freaking human. I'm Sabrina. And at the end of the day, this is my human experience. And if I wanted to have a spiritual experience, then I wouldn't be on this earth. Right? Because then I would just like leave the earth and go back and have my spiritual experience. But this is the whole point of this whole experience. To live like the human. The messy, chaotic, crazy ass human that you are. That is how we embrace this journey. Hold space for pain. Feel the discomfort. Finding a solution is not how we get through this. You know, like everyone wants to put a band-aid or fix the solution, or, you know, like sometimes you just want to feel the pain, feel the discomfort, be bored. I don't need someone to tell me what the solution is. I don't need someone to help me through it. A lot of the times we find ourselves in situations where it's challenging to express yourself, especially when you're feeling things that the normies don't feel, and then you express yourself, and then this is in every situation, no matter where you are on this journey, whether you're not spiritual or spiritual. Humans feel like they need to come up with a solution for you instead of just listening, saying, oh, okay, is there anything you would like me to do? No. Perfect. So the same with you. If you're in a space of ugliness, pain, anger, whatever, can you just sit with it? Don't find an explanation for it. You can do my practice like I did before. It's like, oh, what's the polarity of anxiety? What's the polarity of this? Like, that could be a cool way to like move through it if your mind can't be settled. You know, there's so many different ways to do it, but ways that can help you is what I'm trying to provide here. If someone is telling you something that makes you uncomfortable, sit with it, and they're probably triggering you, and you need to fully sit without judgment. So we've already talked about that, and that's exactly it. So I was sitting with a lovely friend of mine who is a herbalist, and I hope one day she started making some syrups for me, like with hibiscus and John wort, St. John worts, whatever. Anyways, it's really good. We were sitting and having a discussion, and she came up with this amazing statement, and I want to share it with you. So, because there are no shortcuts, they only turn into long cuts, right? And this is exactly that. There's no shortcuts to this journey. Because you take a shortcut, it will take you maybe 5 more years. And that's why I keep telling people when I give them tarot readings, or when I give the Akashic record readings, but especially tarot readings, and they're not happy with the answers. They're like, no, find me another answer. I'm like, yo, it is what it is, right? It's not going to happen now. It's going to happen in 5 years, or it's not going to happen now. No. And they don't. So they take my advice and they push it aside, and then they open a new path, and they come back and they say, well, it doesn't work. And I'm like, well, because you're not patient. And it's like, I'm talking about me. I'm talking about other healers. I'm talking about other practitioners out here. It's like, we're just here to be your lighthouse, but ultimately you need to listen to your intuition, and you need to listen to yourself. And then when you make a wrong turn, don't judge yourself for it. Just enjoy the experience. It's going to take a little longer. So what? Maybe it was part of your contract. Everything needs to be taken a bit lighter. And like, I'm one to talk, because sometimes I'm like really dark about it. But that's why I'm here and expressing this to you. I want to, I'm gonna cut it short here. Short. 40 minutes in, I'm gonna cut it short. There's a lot of talk of geomagnetic storms and solar storms, and that this is happening. It's bringing up a lot up inside you, and it's also causing a lot of havoc on the land as well. And this is normal. This is cleansing time for Mother Earth, and we need to honor her. And it sucks because, you know, homes are being destroyed and people's lives, and And on this journey, you need to, like, we come to the terms with it, and understanding that, again, these are people's contracts. Everyone on this earth knows when they're supposed to leave the earth. And we do a disservice of like pitying them or victimizing them instead of honoring them, honoring the journey that they have come to share with us. And then let them leave the earth, because they're just going to paradise, right? Or wherever you think it is. But I think it's like a beautiful, they're going back to love, right? So in the next few weeks, I think I want to talk about planets. I don't know, I have a pull to talk about Pluto for some reason. Well, because Pluto is in the Capricorn until November 19, and I feel like it's really significant for all of us. So maybe the next one, or maybe I'll just do another one, extra one. Okay, so I'll see you next week. I'm going to be doing these every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, join my Ko-fi membership, where you can join me on live Q&As if you're a member, and I'll do that once a month. You come with your questions, we answer the questions, we figure out where you are right now, whatever. We just like talk, we meet. We're going to do it on Zoom so we can see each other and meet each other instead of always being behind screens or behind text boxes. So join me there, and I really love you. Thank you so much for being here and listening. And also, however you need to start trusting yourself. Start trusting what's coming up in your field, and it might not be the same as anyone else around you, and it's okay, because it needs to come up. And don't deny it, and don't push it aside, and don't put a band-aid on it. Like, feel it. Feel the feels, people. I leave you here. Have a beautiful week, and check out my weekly tarots that I come out on Saturday nights as well. Love you. Bye.